Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here with Gents. Hope that you're doing really well. Time for another cologne fragrance review. Yes, yet another. I actually got in a haul of like 4 different cologne fragrances, so I've been trying to work through those and review those as I have time. So I've been covering them on this channel and the extra channel. If you're unaware of it, extra Gents, extra channel. Search it up. Do more reviews on there, more niche stuff. So anyway, back to today's video. I'm going to be taking a look at this one from Maison Alhambra, Amber and Leather. That's a good name, man. They really just went for it. Amber and Leather. Now, some of you are going to remember this, but a while back, actually quite a while, I got a different fragrance from Maison Alhambra, which I think is technically like an offshoot of Lattafa or something. But I got one of their fragrances in and it was jacked. It was annihilated. Like it had leaked everywhere. The bottle looked like Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre had gotten a hold of it and then tried to stitch it back together. It was, thankfully though, this one, I did not have that happen. It looked good. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the fragrance. I'm going to show you the presentation, tell you what it smells like, and let you know if it's a good clone or not. So let's jump into it. So this one I picked up from fragrancebuy.ca and it is mad cheap. This one I think was around $15 US, something like that. So very, very affordable, you could say. Like just Dollar Tree prices, you know, dollar store prices here. Let's see what you get for the money. And also I'll have it linked in the description in case you want to check it out. So here on the front of the box, you got the name of the house, name of the fragrance, the size, the concentration. On top of the box, it says Maison Alhambra. Got nothing on the sides. On the back, you have your certificate of authenticity, the little sticker up in the corner, as well as your ingredients. And then on the bottom, you have your badge code and your barcode. My bottle expires 05/2027. And here is the bottle. And dude, if that does not look like just the cheapest thing you've ever seen in your life. So you've got the name of the fragrance on the front there on like a rubbery kind of sticker, essentially. And then you have a Maison Alhambra right on the front there as well. On the bottom, you have a sticker and the cap slides into place, but not very snugly. So the box, it doesn't look good, but I've seen worse. The bottle though, ooh. Well, I mean, you can tell what it's a clone of though, looking at the bottle. So, I mean, they got that right. It does feel heavy, like really heavy. You know what time it is? It's time to waste a couple sprays. Here we go. Oh, that's actually not that bad. Atomizer on it's decent. Better than some of the other fragrance clones we've been looking at here lately. So Amber and Leather, in case you missed the title of the video or the thumbnail or you know, looking at the bottle, you still couldn't tell, man, what is that? It looks familiar, but what is that a clone of? Let me help you out. It is a clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. I have Ombre Leather 16. Every time, dude, I'm just gonna have to buy a bottle of Ombre Leather, the signature bottle. I got Ombre Leather, okay? It just doesn't look like this one. Picture of Ombre Leather. See that bottle? Oh, I'm gonna buy that. So this is a clone, an alternative, inspired by that fragrance, whatever you want to say. That's what this is. Amber and Leather, Ombre Leather, you get it. So the question now, is this a good alternative to that fragrance? Like, let's say you really love the Ombre Leather, but of course it is a Tom Ford. It's pricey, it's expensive. Could you save a ton of money and buy this and have something that's close enough to that? Let's discuss that. When you first spray this one on, it is similar and slightly dissimilar from Ombre Leather. So let me tell you what I mean there. You can absolutely tell that this is an Ombre Leather clone, and it's actually pretty good. When you spray this on, you can tell right away, yes, that is an Ombre Leather clone. So it does do that effectively. You know what they're going for. It's not a complete hack job. It's not a mess in the opening. Actually, it doesn't really have any kind of overly synthetic vibe to it. There's no alcohol blast to this one. So those are all positives. It's actually really well done. And I'd say from Maison Alhambra, which is like the discount of the discount clone brands, this is probably the best one I've smelled from them. Actually, it definitely is for sure. Like, not even close. I don't even know why I said, oh, it's probably. No, it is. So when you first spray it on, it's absolutely apparent that it's an Ombre Leather clone, but there is a little bit of a difference. So Ombre Leather is going to be a little bit deeper a little bit richer in the opening. Actually, amber and leather smells essentially like ombre leather if you made it a little bit fresher. So in the opening, the way the violet comes across in amber and leather gives it more of like a watery feeling. It's as if you took ombre leather and gave it a little bit of an aquatic undertone. That's pretty much it. It's like ombre leather meets a little aquatic freshness, just a little bit. So the actual ombre leather is going to be, like I said, a little richer, a little deeper, a little heavier. It's a little more nuanced, you could say. But amber and leather is darn close, just like I said, fresher. As it heads through the mid, pretty similar. There's not a big difference between the two as far as how they come across. I'd say the biggest difference is when you head into the dry down. Amber and leather starts to take on almost like a slight earthy undertone to it, like almost a faint hint of like a peppery, earthy undertone. And ombre leather doesn't really have that in the dry down. So what's kind of interesting about that is this is named amber and leather. So you would think that the amber portion would maybe come out more in this one than it does in ombre leather. But what actually seems to happen, at least off my skin, is when this hits the dry down, is more of that, what you would call oak moss and the patchouli from ombre leather's note breakdown. That's what actually comes out in amber and leather, more than in ombre leather. But of course, you don't have quite the same kind of name if you name it oak moss and leather or patchouli and leather. It doesn't really get the name across all that well. And this does still have amber in it. When you hit the dry down, you got that bit of warmth and sweetness in there from the amber mingling along with leather, just like in ombre leather. That earthiness is more pronounced. It kind of like comes out and sits over top. It's kind of interesting how that happens. It starts to be made apparent, you know, when you're smelling, you're like, oh, I'm getting a little bit of earthiness coming out, and then it slowly comes out and just kind of lays over top the amber. Through the mid though, really, really, really close. Like you're just splitting hairs at that point to say, oh, well, you know, this is different this way, this is different that way. Nah, in the air, like 99% of people are not going to be able to tell a difference between the two, most likely. Then once you hit the dry down, amber and leather is a little different because it has more of that oak moss kind of coming out as compared to ombre leather, where ombre leather maybe smells more cohesively blended. And maybe that's why the oak moss and the patchouli don't pop out like they do in amber and leather. Now, all this said, you know, talking about the differences, how this one is different here and this one is different there. At the end of the day, is amber and leather a good alternative to ombre leather? Yeah, 100%, absolutely. Especially when you consider the pricing here. This is insanely cheap. Cologne fragrances are already in general cheap. Most of them seem to hover around that $30 to $35 range. Sometimes the more expensive ones will go up to like $40, $45, or some Rasasis will go up even higher than that. But generally speaking, cologne fragrances seem to hover in that range, you know, 30 to 40 bucks. So anything lower than $30, that's considered cheap when you're talking clones. And then anything lower than $20 is dirt cheap. So this is dirt cheap. And the presentation certainly looks it. Bottle does not look good. That is just as bare bones as you can get. And had I not smelled this fragrance, that's the type of bottle, absolutely, that I would look at and say, no, whatever is in there is garbage. And yet what's inside here, especially through the mid, is fantastic as far as just as cheap as you can get alternatives to Tom Ford's. So I can easily tell you that if you want something that smells like ombre leather, but you don't have the money to spend on it, and ultimately that's what these fragrances are made for. It's so people that really enjoy that scent profile aren't kind of left out in the cold. And I know you could say, well, just buy a decant then, right? But maybe you want enough fragrance that you can run through it and wear it as much as you want and not have to worry about your 5 milliliter decant that you paid $20 for running dry, and you have to re-up and re-up and re-up. Not everybody is in the greatest position, I guess you could say, to be able to splurge and pick up a Tom Ford. And so for people that really enjoy that scent profile but can't afford the bottle, something like this is fantastic. And back when I was younger and had no walking around money, I'm telling you, like these clones, I would be all over them. Nowadays, do I wear these? I don't. I'll just wear the Tom Ford, but I still like picking these up and kind of letting you guys know, is it a good one or is it a trash one? Because there are some out there that just suck. This one's a good one though. For the price, this is a steal. Let's talk about the performance when you wear it. Of course, when you would wear ombre leather, this is going to be more a fall and winter time fragrance. I'd say daytime or nighttime. Maybe some people would say it leans a little more toward nighttime use, but I think either one, especially with the opening where it has that more of a fresh take on this DNA. I think either one. And you could probably stretch it into spring as well if you wanted to, like early spring. And in terms of performance, you might think that's where this is gonna completely fall apart, but no. I mean, this is just about as good as my ombre leather, because I was comparing these side by side, same amount of sprays, you know, ombre leather over here, amber and leather over here. Stayed with it, you know, lasted pretty much the exact same amount of time. It was projecting just as well. So obviously I can't complain about that. If it's performing the same as ombre leather 16, man, $15, $18, $19, whatever, I'll take it. So in terms of projection, above average for me. In terms of longevity, 7-8 hours off my skin. So there we have it. Maison Alhambra kind of redeeming themselves a little bit. As I said, my first impression of the brand was that they were just to be avoided, complete garbage. It's actually on my channel. It was like a haul that I did. Maybe if you type in like Alhambra, maybe it pops up, I'm not sure, but I had a haul of fragrances and one of those was just garbage. I threw it away. Actually, I just chucked it in the trash over here. So about as bad as you could start, essentially. But this one, it looks horrible. It looks absolute trash. It smells good though. I would rather have the bottle look like trash and have the fragrance smell good than have the bottle look amazing and the fragrance smell like garbage. To each their own though. All right guys, that will do it for me. Maison Alhambra, amber and leather, awesome, super cheap alternative. So ombre leather. And like I said, link it in the description in case you want to check it out. I actually heard about this one because it's been getting a little bit of buzz, people talking about it. So I decided, let's go for it. Normally, without any kind of buzz, I probably would have never gotten it just because of how poor it looks. But I guess, that's why they tell you don't judge a book by its cover. Those little children's things that you learn, they hold true. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. Thank you for hanging out with me here today. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.